The Minnesota Vikings got it done, extending head coach Kevin O'Connell. But what's next? There are a couple dominoes that are ready to fall. The Minnesota Vikings did what they knew they had to do and extended head coach Kevin O'Connell to a multi-year contract. Now, the terms of the deal were not disclosed at the time of announcement, but the Vikings did what they needed to do. They got their head coach extended for multiple seasons. When he was hired in 2022, he signed a 4-year contract, and he will be in Minnesota for the long term. And it's a good thing that they got it done. He was 34-17 in the regular season over his first 3 years, in years that they were rebuilding. Now, the Vikings have been doing what's been called a competitive rebuild because they're trying to win every single year while also messing with the cap and trying to get it in a healthy spot. And it's in a very healthy spot going into that 2025 season. The Vikings also needed to make sure that they locked up Kevin O'Connell so he didn't hit coaching free agency. There was a report from Jay Glazer on the final Sunday of the regular season that teams were interested in trading for Kevin O'Connell because they were uncertain about his status. Well, as we know in Minnesota, that was never an issue. The Wilfs, who are the owners of the Minnesota Vikings, do this thing where they don't talk about extensions for their head coaches and general managers until the final years of their deal. It's just how they operate business. They did so with Brad Childress. They did so with Mike Zimmer. They did so with Rick Spielman. So it wasn't really an issue. It wasn't something that we considered to be a problem, but it was something we knew that they had to lock up, and they got it done. O'Connell's going to be here for the long term, and those trade reports, well, we don't have to worry about them anymore because he's locked up. Now, sure, there'll be jokes. Well, they finally got him locked up to make a trade even more lucrative. Nah, that's just people having fun on social media. It's not reality. But now that O'Connell is signed, we can move forward to the next big topics of the offseason. O'Connell now is going to have just as much say, if not more, on which quarterback is going to be under center for the Minnesota Vikings in 2025 and beyond. And that's between Sam Darnold and J.J. McCarthy. Who will be that guy? I don't know. I don't think any of us know yet. We believe it's going to be one way or we believe it's going to be the other. There's no guarantee it's going to be any which way. So what happens then? What happens with the Minnesota Vikings? Are they going to keep J.J. McCarthy or are they going to keep Sam Darnold and roll with him? I don't know. But that decision is now more towards the fourth round, as is the extension for Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, who, as Tom Pelissero reported right after the news broke about Kevin O'Connell, they are discussing his deal as well. Now, why did they announce them together? Well, the Vikings have been known to give guys the spotlight for a day. Or as Justin Jefferson's case, they gave him an entire week in June. They're probably going to sign Kwesi Adofo-Mensah to an extension this week before the Senior Bowl. So give him like an entire day where the focus is on him. We're not focused on Kevin O'Connell. We're not focused on Sam Darnold and J.J. McCarthy. We're focused on the general manager. And I think that's a really smart way to play this. It's just good PR. Give your guy the spotlight. And Kwesi Adofo-Mensah deserved it. He should arguably win Executive of the Year for everything he's done in free agency. The draft has been a little spotty, but guess what? That's okay. You're so good at everything else, and he's improving in the draft. The first year wasn't good, but there are a lot of factors in that first year that aren't there now, and you can tell that there's been growth in the process. And that's what I want to see. Growth. I think we're going to see plenty of great things from Kwesi Adofo-Mensah as the general manager of the Minnesota Vikings and with Kevin O'Connell as the head coach. The future is very bright in Minnesota, and we should all be grateful that they got this one done. I'm Tyler Forness with A to Z Sports. Skol Vikings.